Hello, welcome back. This is episode 35. It's a continuation of the writing a console application in free Pascal without using the Lazarus integrated development environment. Today we're going to finish the application by completing the ability to extract the various data elements from the raw JSON record that comes back. It's actually returned as an array of records, but in this case, it only has one record element. So let's get started, okay? Okay, where we left off, we had retrieved the record from the website and just printed out the raw JSON record right here on this line. And I'll show you how that works. We enter the program name EP31, and then we enter a stock symbol. In this case, I'm going to use Apple AAPL. That's the stock symbol. And we're going to put in the date. 2026-02-06. February the 6th this year. Hit enter. And as you can see, it returned the raw JSON data. That's where we left off. And this is the array of records. And JSON uses a key value method of returning data. So the key is date here. This is the date. Then the next key is the opening value of the stock. That's right here. Then it gives you the actual value for that key. Here's a key called high, the high value of the day, and here's the high value. Okay, so that's where we left off. So let's start adding code. In order to parse JSON data, you have to add a few. We're going all the way to the top here to the uses clause. We have to add a few more units in order to do that. So we're going to add FPC JSON, and then we have to add JSON parser, like that. Those two units are going to be used to help us extract the data from the record. All right. So the next thing we need to do here, need to move down into the main program. This is the function prototype that we included last time, so that I could put the functions into alphabetical order. So here's the get ticker raw data function, and then here's the date validation function. Here's the write data function, and I put a comment line in here to show where the main program starts. So here we are in the main program now, and we're going to need to add some data elements to this so that we can do this JSON thing. This is the raw JSON string that came back down here. This is that raw JSON string. I output the string that says raw JSON data, and then I actually output the raw data. That was done down here. So now let's start adding some elements to this that we're going to need so we can do our parsing. So right in here, I'm going to add a J array. I must have hit the cap lock key. Array. There we go. And that is tJSON array. So it's an object. tJSON. Oops. What am I doing here? It's supposed to be tJSON array. Okay, that's what we got. Then the next thing we're going to have is a tJSON object that I'm going to call J record. It's the JSON record. Damn, I'm really doing a bad job here, aren't I? There it is. Record. And like I say, that's a tJSON object. So it's tJSON, and that's object. All right. And then we're going to have an enumerator. So this is I'm going to call this J array enum, and it's a tJSON enum. There we go. And now we're going to add some strings. In other words, when we break out these elements, we're going to store them as strings. So we already have S date and S symbol defined. Now we're going to have S open, and we'll make this a list of them. This is going to be S high. Then there's going to be S low, and we're going to have S close, and then we're going to have S adjusted close, and then we're going to have the volume. Okay. And now we have to tell it what those are. Those are string values. The type string. Okay. Alrighty, now we're going to go down and start. We're going to go down and start taking care of breaking this out, forming the record, and then so right here below where we wrote those lines out showing the raw data, we're now going to start adding lines. So we're going to convert. We're going to convert to JSON data. And cast as a T JSON array. That's what we're doing. And that's what's done on this next line. So we say J array is equal to T JSON array, and then we call another function, oops, and this is called get JSON. And then we pass it the raw data. Oops, gotta use the shift key. So this is going to be what? S raw JSON. Okay, that's the data we got back. And that's the end of that function call. So that returns that does a lot of work. That parses the raw data and converts it into a data structure that's an array and assigns JArray to it. Okay. Once that's done, we now can, there's something we need to do before we do that. What if we just get an empty array back? There's really nothing left. There's nothing for us to do at that point. So let's test for that right here. So we're going to say test for an empty array. How are we going to do that? Well, it's very simple. We know if we get an empty array back that it's just going to be two right angle brackets surrounding nothing. So we can test for that. So we just say if S raw JSON is equal to the two opposing brackets, then just exit. There's nothing to do. We didn't get any data back. Okay, so we'll do that before we try to get the array. Now we have the array, right? What are we going to do now? We're going to convert the JSON. No, we're going to now get into a loop. Using the T JSON enumerator. Oops. Yeah. Okay. So now we have our for loop starting. For J array enum, right? Enum. Okay. In J array do begin. All right. And we gotta see, we gotta put an end. If we have a begin, we have to have an end. I always put that in right away so I don't leave it hanging open. Okay, now within this loop, we're going to get the record now. We're going to extract the record from the array. So we're going to get the J record from the J array. All right. And we get, so we have J record is equal to T JSON, JSON object and we pass it that, we pass that J array enum dot value. Okay. And that gives us our record. Now we have to break out the record into the various data elements. So here we do get individual data elements from J record, right? J record. All right. All right, so we're in our loop. So we're going to get S date, and that's going to be formatted as a string. So we'll use the, we're going to use the format statement to format it. And it's going to be a string. So we put in %s to tell it it's a string, not capital S, lowercase s. And now we have to pass it the element in the record that we want. So in the parameters, the right angle bracket starts the list of parameters. There's only one in this case. And it's returned through a function call. And that function call is J record dot find path. And now we pass it the key for the value. All right. So this is going to be date. Now, how did I know it was date? Because, oh, it's date, and okay, it's what type is it? It's as string. It's going to return a string value. Okay. That's the end of the parameter list. And that's the end of the format. All right. Now, if we look over here, when we got our data back, you see this is the key value, date, then there's a colon, and then the value. So open is the key, and its value is a floating point number. You see that? 277.12, $277.12. That's also the same for the high and the low and the close and the adjusted close. Those are all floating point numbers. Now the key volume, its value is an integer. There's no decimal point in it. So that's where we're coming up with these data types and how we're finding the values based on the key. Just that might help you understand that. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do open, the open. And then I'm just going to take this stuff up here and I'm going to copy it because we're going to be doing the very similar thing for every one of these. So I'm just going to mark all this as what I want, and we'll just make minor changes, then that'll speed up the data entry considerably. Control insert. Okay, I'm going to come down here and do shift insert. Okay, the open is a floating point number. So what we're going to say here is it's not S, it's 8 digits total, dot, 2 of which are decimal places, and then we put in F for floating point. So %8.2F indicates print this floating point, get this floating point number, 8 digits, 2 of which are decimals, and treat it, it's going to convert it into a string, printable string, and we're going to treat it as what? Not string, but it's as float. Okay. So that's that one. Now I'm gonna copy this. Now that I've got that set up for a float, that's going to be very handy for the rest of these. Oh, and it's not, yeah, and it's not date. What am I doing here? This is the open, so I got to pass it a key of open, not date. Right? Okay, so now I'm going to take all of this and I'm going to hit Control Insert to copy it. And now I'm going to do, this is going to now be the high. And I'll shift insert it. And the only thing I have to change is the key value here, which is now high. Okay, do you see how this works? I hope you do. And the next is the low. So we're going to put in low. That's the string we're going to get. And we're going to insert. And now all I have to say here is low, right? That's the key. All right. And then after the low, we have the close. Okay, and all we have to put in here is close. Okay, and now we're going to have the adjusted close. Okay. And that's spelled out ADJUSTED underscore close. And I'm going to get that adjusted over here. Okay. And then after the adjusted close, we got the volume. And now this isn't floating point, so we have to change the format. Integers are just decimal numbers, right? So all you have to put in is D for decimal number. And then over here we say volume, right? And is it float? No, it's integer. So we put in as integer. Okay. We now have all of our little string values. We can now print them out. To do that, we just do write lines. Okay, we'll just say here print. Or I could say display. It's really we're displaying. Oops. We're displaying. Display individual values. So you do that with a write line. So we'll just say write line, and then we're going to put out what we're writing. So we'll give it a string constant, and it's going to be date colon, and then we're going to append to that. Oops. I'm going to append to that S date, the string that we got out of the record. Okay. That's that. All right. All right. Now we're going to do another write line. I'm just going to copy that. So that'll save a little bit of time, since my typing skills are pretty poor now. Okay, so that's a control insert. And we come down here and we'll do shift insert. All right, and the next thing we're going to output is the open. Okay. So that's going to be the S open. Just like that. All right. And now we're going to do the next element. That's the high for the day. So we're going to put out high. Colon. Oops. It's supposed to be a colon. And then we're going to add to it S high. Append to it, rather not add to it. Okay. Now we're going to do the low. Oops. And that's just S. Oops. Low. Okay, and then what do we have next? It's the close. It's the close. All right. And the value is, we just concatenate. Oops. Close. And then the next thing is the adjusted close. Okay. And that's got a colon on the end there. And we're going to add the, and that's S A D J close. Just like that. And the final thing we write out is the volume. Right? Let's see. And that's S volume. Just like that. Okay. Now I'm going to do some stuff here to clean this up and make this so it'll print pretty. I'm going to try to align all these colons by inserting some leading spaces here. See if I can get this lined up. And I still don't have it lined up. I got to add an extra space in here. That. Okay, now those are like, and I want that to be a capital A. And then come down here, shift the volume over. So now those should all line up, right? And I don't need a space after volume. And then at the end, I think we'll just throw a blank line so that if we printed out multiple records from an array of multiple records, it would separate each group with a blank line. So here we would do just a right line with an empty right line. Okay. Like that. Okay, now we're at the end of our loop right here. let's get rid of these blank lines. Get rid of those. That's the end of the loop. And so at the end of the loop, when we're all done, we should free the array that we created. So we do a J array dot free, like that. That's the end of the program. Okay, so let's save this and let's compile it. Can't find FPC JSON used by program. Didn't I put that in? Thought I did. In the uses clause, didn't I? Go back up here to the top where our uses are. Isn't it FPC JSON? I thought it was. Let's see. The uses clause. Oh, it's FP JSON, not FPC JSON. That's the problem. Okay, I think maybe that'll fix it. Is that the only error we have? Yes, it looks to be. I'll have to save that change. And let's come back over here and let's compile it again. Okay, now we got it compiled clean. All right. Let's see if this now works. So we're going to do our EP31 Apple, same date and thing. And here we go. And look at that. So we now have got our date and open separated out, the high, the low, and the close. So these separate data elements could now be used individually. And of course, you don't have to retrieve them and format them to strings. You could actually retrieve them and use them as floating point numbers and an integer. Okay, you would probably retrieve the data as a string. But then you could use these other elements. Maybe you could, I think there's even a way in Free Pascal to populate elements on a spreadsheet if you want. And wouldn't that be neat to have a spreadsheet automatically updated with data? So anyway, that's how we do it. There's one other thing I'd like to show you is where I found all this information on the internet. Let's go into the browser here. Bring up the Brave browser. I saved the link to it so I could show you. It's not that I'm a big genius and I knew how to do all this JSON stuff. I didn't. And I tried to learn how to do it by reading the Lazarus source code for the parser and forget it. It's way too complicated. It's over my head. Fortunately, I found this article written by Marcus Fernstrom. And it's in a publication called Medium, and I hope you can see this URL up here because that's where you can go to find this as well. It's medium.com @Marcus Fern STRM, and it's at Free Pascal -and -JSON 337 C04 CAD 489. And if you look down through this article, you can see he has examples of the source. He has an example. He shows you an example of a JSON data record, and it's an array of records. And then he shows you how to use the Lazarus objects to parse it and extract the data. If I hadn't found this article, I would have been lost. It's really quite excellent. Shows you everything you need to know. He also goes into how to then create a JSON record, array record. He shows you how to do that as well. I, of course, didn't use that in our example. Anyway, I thought I'd show you this. That you can go out on the internet and in many cases you can find the information you need to successfully use a fairly complex interface. So that's it for today. I don't know if we're going to do any more with this. We'll probably go back to doing some other graphical user interface Pascal stuff. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I appreciate all my subscribers. I have 150 subscribers now, and I appreciate all of them. Some of them are very generous in commenting, and I love comments. So if you'd like to, please, if you found this information useful, click the like button, and if you like the content and would like to see more of it, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thank you very much for watching my video, and have yourself a great day.